This video is going to be pretty short because, like I said in one of my previous videos, bodybuilding isn't actually that complicated. It isn't such a complicated thing, and I want to just quickly talk about recovery because I think it's important. But I think the thing that I'm going to talk about today are things that if you've researched about bodybuilding and building muscle a little bit, you should already know. But even though a lot of people already know about these things, even though it's simple. Even though bodybuilding is simple, it isn't easy. Even though the concept of recovery is a pretty simple concept, it isn't easy. And most people don't do it correctly. And for most of my journey, I didn't do those things correctly. So the first thing I want to quickly talk about is just 48 hours of rest between sessions. So if you hit chest on Monday, then you should at least the soonest you should hit chest again, most of the time, is on Wednesday. So you leave at least 2 days in between sessions in which you hit a certain muscle group. So you leave a muscle group just 2 days to recover, at least 2 days to recover. I wouldn't recommend you just do a lot more than that. 2 days, 3 days can also work. 4 days it starts to get a little bit. So just make sure you still hit a muscle group 2 times a week, but you leave at least 2 days of recovery between sessions in which you hit that muscle group. So like I said, it isn't complicated at all. It's so simple. Second step and the last step, sleep. Improve your sleep. Make sure you get your 8 hours or more. And the basic tips that I can give you for sleep: stay in bed for longer. Yesterday I was in my bed at 7:30 p.m., which seems very early, but I woke up at 4 today. Actually, I woke up at 5. I snoozed a few times. So I'm not perfect at all. But I still woke up at 5. And I went to bed, so I was in my bed at 7:30. So how many hours are that? 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5. So I was in bed for 9.5 hours last night. But I wasn't asleep for those hours. It took me a few minutes to fall asleep. It took me like maybe 20 minutes to fall asleep. And if you did know, you actually wake up a few times during the night. You don't just sleep during the whole night. It's not like you fall asleep and then you wake up. There are periods, even though we don't realize it, there are periods where you just randomly wake up, but you just don't remember it because those are very brief periods. And there are periods where you're in deep sleep, what people call REM sleep, and there are periods where you're in light sleep and you don't do like a sleep, but not really in deep sleep. So there are different periods during the night, and you're not gonna be if you're in bed for 8 hours. It's like obvious, but some people don't understand it. I used to not really understand it. If you're in bed for 8 hours, that doesn't mean you slept for 8 hours. It means you basically slept for. It depends on your sleep efficiency, and there are different things you can do to improve your sleep efficiency, and I'm going to talk about them in this video. But if you're in bed for 8 hours, on average, you probably were asleep for 7 hours, 6.5, depending on how well you sleep and how efficient your sleep is. So just allocate more time to bed. I allocate 9 hours to bed every night, or sometimes even more, 9.5 hours to bed every night, because I know if I want to get my 8 hours, I need to spend at least 9 hours in bed. Because there's no one with 100% sleep efficiency that just goes to bed, falls asleep instantly, and stays asleep during the whole night. There's no one like that. You can improve your sleep efficiency, but you can't just magically be able to just fall asleep instantly and stay asleep during the whole night. Just go to sleep and wake up again without having any interruptions during the night. It's just impossible. So first, just allocate more time to bed. Second thing that I would recommend you do, and it's a big mistake that I made. It was a big mistake that I made. for a long time is having distractions in bed with you. So a lot of people will recommend you to, oh yeah, if you struggle to fall asleep, just put a movie on or show on and watch it until you fall asleep. And that seems like a good tactic. And I did something similar for years. I would literally take my phone with me in bed and I would watch YouTube videos until I fell asleep. Until very recently, I actually did that. I'm not even joking. And I've been doing that. I've done that for 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. Going to sleep whilst watching YouTube videos. And yeah, it felt like I was falling asleep faster, and it felt like I was sleeping better, but I definitely wasn't. First, it took me like sometimes it took me an average 1 hour to fall asleep, 1 to 2 hours to fall asleep. It really literally took me 1 to 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours to fall asleep, sometimes even five. I'm not taking the piss. I'm totally being honest here. It took me a long time to fall asleep, and I was just didn't feel energized at all when I woke up. I didn't feel like I slept well. I didn't even feel like I really slept. Even when I spent 11 hours in bed on some days, some nights. So have no distractions in bed. If you want to have one distraction, read a book. Quickly read a book in bed. That's a good distraction to have. Just reading a book, it will get you all sleepy. And when you notice that you're kind of falling asleep, put the book down, start sleeping. If you want to have a distraction, read. But don't have any electronics in your bed. Don't have your computer there. Don't have your phone there. Don't have TV on that you watch and watching a show whilst waiting for sleep to come. Literally, you can read a book, but don't do anything else. Don't do anything super exciting, super stimulating, because even though you may not realize it, a lot of these electronics, computers, phones, and the different activities you can do on them, watching YouTube, watching Netflix, they are a lot more stimulating than you think, and they don't allow your brain to rest. They don't allow your brain to rest. While you're watching YouTube, your brain isn't resting. It isn't resting, especially a lot of those super stimulating videos on YouTube. It isn't resting. Second tip, just be in a cold room. I sleep very badly. I don't sleep as well, I would say, during the summer. But during winter, I sleep very well because I just open my window. And because it's cold outside, my room gets cold. And when I'm in a cold environment, I can sleep very well. And it's been shown scientifically that your body needs to cool down before you fall asleep. Your body needs to cool down during your sleep so that your sleep is as efficient as it needs to be. So your body literally needs to be cooler. And one way to just cool down your body temperature is just be in a cooler environment, be in a colder room. So if you have the money to invest an air conditioner, if you want to, because honestly I don't have an air conditioner in my room, but during summer, especially on some days, it can get very hot during summer, and opening the window can sometimes be difficult because of the wind, and it's just annoying sometimes during the summer. So during summer, my sleep is drastically worse. It is worse than in winter, if I'm totally honest. So I'm gonna invest in an air conditioner to put into my room to be able to still sleep very well, even during the summer. But just be careful. You can get sick from that. Right now I'm sick, but it isn't because it was so cold in my room. I just went to swim and I stayed in water too long, and I'm kind of sick. So you can maybe notice that in my voice. Last tip I can give you: sleeping mask. I have a sleeping mask right there. I'm gonna bring it to you. This is what it looks like if I just literally put it in my face and I sleep like this. So it helps me a lot if I can be honest with you, because it helps me to just have darkness, to just be in a dark environment. Because when I sleep, I try to sleep without this sleeping mask. I can I'll sometimes open my eyes and I'll see kind of light. Even I have curtains there, and I turn off all the lights in my room before falling asleep. But sometimes you can still see some lights outside. So it depends on at the time you go to sleep. I go to sleep very early. That's why I really need the sleeping mask. But if you go to sleep at like at at let's say 12 p.m. or 10 p.m., you don't really need to worry about this. You don't really need this. Just turn off all the lights in your room, close the curtains, and it should be pretty easy for you. Shouldn't be a problem. But if you're someone who also goes to bed early, especially in summer where the sun goes down very late, having a sleeping mask like I do can help you a lot, and it really helps me a lot. So I would recommend you. It's very cheap. I think I bought it for euros. Yeah, €6, literally €6 for it. Very cheap. I just took one from Amazon, so it isn't expensive at all. I would recommend to buy a silk sleeping mask with silk that's made with silk because some other textures can sometimes get very hot over time. It can get very warm and uncomfortable in your face. So silk is the material I would recommend you buy. It's still very cheap. So yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know on how to maximize recovery. There are other things that will help you with your recovery, like what you eat and making sure make I won't really tell you this because I think overtraining is sometimes talked about too much. I would just have fun with other sports if you want to. If you like to play volleyball between sessions. Don't worry about that. If you want to play basketball, do that. If you want to do certain martial arts, do that. But just understand that there is a certain limit to what your body can do. But that limit is something that I don't think a lot of people ever reach in their lives. I think most people would benefit from moving more than they would from moving less. So yeah, keep in mind that yeah, your body has limits. Yeah, don't if you know you're gonna have a leg day beforehand, maybe playing 5 hours of super intense football isn't the best thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. If you have a leg day later on in the day, going and playing 5 hours of football, super intense, just games after games with your friends, isn't the best thing. I did it. I still managed to have great leg workouts afterwards, but I was super tired doing those workouts. So maybe they weren't the best, but they were so great. So have your fun with other sports, but just keep in mind that your body and each muscle group has its limit. And yeah, that's all I had to say. If you're interested in my fitness coaching, then you can click the first thing in the description. And yeah, don't run from discomfort, chase it.